The cold wrapped around him like a final embrace, not the winter chill that nips at your nose. This was deeper, piercing, heavy, otherworldly. A kind of cold that felt like the end, the kind that made time stop. Then came the silence, but not the quiet that brings peace. This silence was vast and hollow, like a void swallowing everything. Sound, light, hope. A silence so complete, it felt like the world had turned its back. Jeremy Renner lay there in the snow outside his Lake Tahoe home, broken in more ways than one. The unforgiving weight of a 14,000-pound snowplow had crushed him, cracking bones, shattering ribs, collapsing lungs. His body was mangled, but even more terrifying, he was still conscious, still feeling, still holding on. With every shallow breath, pain surged through him like fire and ice. He could no longer scream, couldn't move, could barely breathe. The agony was unrelenting, the isolation unbearable. And in that moment, surrounded by blood, ice, and the eerie silence of death, Jeremy felt something slip away. Not fear, not panic, just stillness. And from somewhere deep within, he knew. He had crossed a line, a place beyond life, a space between heartbeats. And with haunting clarity, he later confessed, "I died. Right there. In my driveway." This wasn't a dramatic retelling. It wasn't for headlines or sympathy. It was the truth of a man who stood at the edge of existence, looked into the abyss, and somehow, against all odds, came back. Back to breathe, back to live. It was the morning of January 1st, 2023, a day the world often celebrates with fireworks, resolutions, and renewed hope. For Jeremy Renner, it started like any other quiet winter morning. He wasn't on a film set or attending a glamorous Hollywood event. There were no directors shouting "action" or makeup artists hovering around. He was simply at home in Lake Tahoe, being an uncle, helping his beloved nephew clear snow after a holiday storm. No lights, no cameras, just family, snow, and a deep sense of responsibility. His nephew's vehicle had gotten stuck in the thick blanket of snow, and Jeremy, like any protective uncle, stepped in to help. He climbed into his piston-bully snowplow, an industrial 14,000-pound beast of a machine, to clear a safe path. He had done it before. It wasn't supposed to be dangerous. It was just a routine act of care. But in a matter of seconds, something went horribly wrong. The machine started to roll, moving unpredictably and gaining momentum. Jeremy noticed the threat immediately, not to himself, but to his nephew. Without hesitation, he tried to jump back into the snowplow to stop it. That split-second decision, to save someone he loved, put him directly in the path of the massive vehicle. It ran him over. What followed was nothing short of a nightmare. Bones shattered, blood spilled, and Jeremy Renner, the fearless avenger on screen, now lay crushed and motionless on the ice in one of the most terrifying real-life battles he would ever face. Alone, broken, and freezing. We've seen him battle aliens, take down corrupt empires, and stand shoulder to shoulder with gods. As Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner was the quiet strength of the Avengers, the sharp-eyed protector, the man who always hit his mark. But that New Year's Day, there were no villains, no cameras, no superpowers, only pain, only Jeremy. Beneath the snow and steel, his body was no longer that of a superhero. It was broken, fragile, human. He later described the sounds his body made as it was crushed beneath the 14,000-pound machine. The list reads like something from a horror novel: skull, jaw, cheekbones, molars, fibula, tibia, lungs, eye sockets, cranium, pelvis, ulna, legs, arms, skin, crack, snap, crack, squeeze. But this wasn't fiction. This wasn't a stunt gone wrong on set. It was real life, and it was unbearable. His left eye was so severely injured he could see it with his right. His rib cage was shattered. A lung had collapsed. Yet through it all, through every agonizing second, he remained awake. He didn't pass out. He didn't escape the pain. He endured it, felt it, lived it, and somehow, through all of that suffering, he kept holding on. Jeremy Renner lay alone, in the snow for what felt like forever. 30 long minutes, every second a war between life and death. He couldn't move. He couldn't cry out. His body was broken in ways most people will never understand, but still, he breathed. Not automatically, manually, deliberately. Each breath was a decision, a battle, a choice to stay alive. He compared it to doing 10 to 20 push-ups per minute non-stop for half an hour, while every bone in your body is shattered and your lungs barely work. It was too much, too cruel, too heavy, and eventually something inside him gave way. "I just got tired," he wrote. That's when everything changed. He let go. The pain faded, the cold vanished, the world disappeared, and in its place, peace. Not the kind we speak of in poetry or dreams, but something larger, something deeper. He described it as pure energy, vibrant, beautiful, all-encompassing. Time didn't exist. Space didn't matter. He saw everything, his life, his memories, his people, all at once. His heart rate dropped to 18. His body was still. To the EMTs, he was gone, but somehow, miraculously, he came back. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. He was airlifted from his driveway to the nearest trauma center. Doctors fought to stabilize him. Surgeons worked through the night, repairing what they could. Jeremy underwent more than 30 surgeries to repair his chest, face, legs, arms. Each procedure a gamble, each one a step toward survival. But surviving wasn't the same as living. The days that followed were filled with pain. Nights brought hallucinations and fear. Simple movements became mountains to climb. He had to relearn how to sit, how to walk, how to eat. Every task was a reminder of what he had lost, and of how far he still had to go. And yet, Jeremy Renner kept going. He was fueled by more than just determination. He was carried by love. He speaks of the nurses, doctors, physical therapists, and first responders as his army. The people who didn't just treat his injuries, but held his spirit together when he was falling apart. He especially thanked his nephew, Alex Fries, the young man he had been trying to protect when the accident occurred, and the neighbors who rushed to his side in those first critical moments. "I'm so sorry for the haunting images I imprinted on you," he said. "I'll spare you all from the meat-grinding details." This was no longer about Hollywood. This was about humanity. In 2024, Renner slowly began to reappear in public. He gave interviews not as a celebrity, but as a survivor. He talked about pain, about trauma, about rebuilding not just his body, but his soul. He told Jimmy Fallon, "If it's too difficult, if it feels impossible, just put one foot down, then another, then keep moving toward it." It wasn't advice from a script. It was the mantra of a man who had learned to walk again, step by painful step, on January 1st, 2025. Exactly 2 years after the accident, Jeremy Renner shared an emotional post, "Ringing in my second rebirthday. I send love, respect, and gratitude to the army of people that it took to put me back together." He wasn't just alive. He was reborn. In his memoir, My Final Breath, Renner gives us everything: the pain, the despair, the miracles, the moments when he was ready to let go, and the moments when love pulled him back. It's not a story about death. It's a story about choosing life, again and again. He speaks of divine intervention, of miracles, of gratitude that runs through every fiber of his body. He honors every hand that held his, every voice that encouraged him, every prayer that reached him. Yes, he's Hawkeye. Yes, he's been nominated for Oscars. But today, Jeremy Renner stands for something even greater. He stands for survival. He stands for what it means to face darkness and still find light. He stands for every person who's ever felt like giving up, but didn't. That driveway in Lake Tahoe isn't just concrete now, it's a reminder, a sacred place. It's where a man said goodbye to everything he knew, and it's where he chose to come back. With the amount of love and prayers that flooded in, with divine intervention, a bit of luck, and a whole lot of miracles. I stand strong again. His last words in his message were simple. And the king blessed to take my next step, to take my next breath. Jeremy Renner's story is not just about a man who survived a snowplow accident. It's about what it means to be alive, to love, to fight, to lose everything, and come back stronger, to walk again, to laugh again, to breathe again, and to remind the world that no matter how broken we are, there is always a way forward. One step, one breath, one heartbeat at a time.